Now, let's go to another character. Kapitan Tiago. Sige, tingnan natin ito.
Paano na kayo doon, Santiago? Hindi niyo ba kami sasaluhan?
Huwag mo nang guluhin ang inayos ko. Ang hapunang ito ay handog sa mahal na Birhen bilang pasasalamat sa iyong malwalhating pagbabalik.
So yan si Kapitan Tiago. He is said to be a good Catholic, friend of Spanish government. He symbolizes the rich Filipinos who oppress their fellow countrymen. Sinasabi nila na si Kapitan Tiago ay isang typical na politician. He is at good with the government, he is at good with the religious community, and he is at good with the people. However, as a religious, actually, hindi pa daw siya nangungumpisaw talaga ng totoo. So, pakitang tao lang. As a friend of the Spaniards, gagawin niya ang lahat para maging kaibigan ng mga Spaniards for his own business. And as a friend of the people, pakitang tao lang dahil pakita niya na kailangan siya ng mga tao. Pero, ginagamit niya ang mga tao. Alright? So, yan si Kapitan Tiago. But in many cases, maganda rin yung kanyang mga characters. He's a good father, one of the good fathers also in the community because inalagaan niya si Maria Clara, later inalagaan din niya si Basilio, and ang dami niyang natutulungan. Kaso nga lang, totoo ito na he also oppressed her fellow countrymen. Yung pautang niya, tapos sinisingil niya ng siguro hindi makatarungang interest. Okay? So that's Kapitan Tiago. Now we have another character. Pwede nating sabihin na the most villain, pinaka-kontrabida, pinaka-antagonist in the Noli Me Tangere, Padre Damaso.
Padre Damaso, kayo ang nararapat maupo rito.
Ikaw na.
Subalit, bilang malaon na kaibigan ng pamilya,
Some of his characteristics here, talkative and cruel priest. Tingnan nyo yung naipakita kong clip, ganun ang presentation nila kay Padre Damaso. Hypocrite. He continually antagonizes Ibarra and prevents his marriage to Maria Clara. He raped Doña Pia, and so he is sacrilegious. He is the biological father of Maria Clara. And so he symbolizes the Spanish friars of Rizal's time. So this is one of the striking figure in the Noli Me Tangere that the priests, the Catholic religion, the Catholic hierarchy were actually trying to fight against with Rizal. And ito yung isa siguro nakikita nila na sabi nila the novel was made to ridicule the religious authorities, especially the Catholic Church, because pinapakita nyo doon ang siguro natamaan sila sa karakter ni Padre Damaso. But there's one thing that we all know, Padre Damaso is good. Meron bang ni isang katiting na makita nyo sa ugali ni Padre Damaso na pwede nating sabihin na ay dito malaki ang puntos siya dito, plus point siya sa akin dito, positive siya sa akin dito. Siguro sa inyo wala, but in one of the readings that I read, pinakamaganda sa mga characters na naipakita kay Padre Damaso ay yung kanyang pagiging totoong father, not as a priest but as a biological father to Maria Clara. Kahit papano, siguro, this is just a misinterpretation or just another interpretation of Rizal's character para i-interpret man lang si Padre Damaso na hindi ganun kakontrabida. So, kahit naman mga kontrabida, di ba? Tinitingnan din natin na meron silang mabuting kalooban din. So, in that side, he's caring to Maria Clara. Positive doon. So, doon yung isa. But, most of the characters presented, Padre Damaso is a villain. kontrabida po siya sa Noli Me Tangere. And is a Franciscan priest. So yun, kaya isa sa mga scandalous presentation ng mga pare during Rizal's time. Alright, next character. Ayan. So, kilalang kilala natin yan, si Ceasar.
Patawarin niyo po ako.
Nasaktan ka ba?
Hindi ko pa gusto kumambalang. Huwag niyo po akong parusahan.
Gusto ko lang malaman kung paano kitang... Hindi ba ikaw si Ceasar? Anak ni Mang Bianong na dati nagtrabaho para sa amin.
Sino ba ang hindi nakakakilala kay Ceasar? Crispin Basilio. Asan kayo? So, Ceasar was portrayed by Rizal as the deranged mother of Basilio and Crispin. She was once described as beautiful and young. Although she loves her children very much, she cannot protect them from the beatings of her husband Pedro. And Ceasar personified the suffering of the motherland, and accordingly, Ceasar was named after Rizal's older sister Narcisa. So, Ceasar represented the motherland, the Philippines, who was, accordingly, if you go back to our golden age, sinabi ko last time na presentation ni Ilieto, that we once had our golden age, the Eden of the Philippines, when the Spanish did not yet come here to the Philippines, when we had our freedom, our economic and political freedom, and suddenly the Spaniards came and we were abused, we were raped. That's what happened to Ceasar. She was abused, she was raped, she was a victim of social injustices during the Spanish time. And so, she became mad. She became insane. Maaaring ganyan din ang nangyari sa Pilipinas. Naging tanga, naging baliw ang maraming tao, at naging katulad ni Ceasar na naghirap ng husto, ng todo, lalong na nung malaman niyang nawawala or hindi niya mahanap ang kanyang mga anak. And Basilio survived, of course, we know that. Now, next character is Elias. Ito yung sinasabi ko na he was more personified, more reverend than Ibarra.
Meron kayong alam sa kanilang patutunguhan?
Wala po. Ang sabi po nila, wala raw pong nakakakita sa kanilang pinagpupugaran.
Hindi kayo piloto ng bangka at hindi rin manggagawa. Sino kayo?
Elias' character is one who distrusts human judgment and prefers God's justice instead. He prefers a revolution over reforms, but meron tayong i-discuss later on dito kasi nagkaroon ito ng pagbabago. Before, he was the one convincing Ibarra to join them in the revolution, but later on when they were escaping towards the end of the Noli Me Tangere, when Ibarra asked him to join him because Ibarra realized that he needed also to avenge what happened to his life, Elias said, "No, I will not join any revolution." And when he was asked that, "Come with me, let's get out from this country," Elias said again, "No, I will not." So, he represents the common Filipino. He is said to be the personification of Andres Bonifacio. Again, this is something we need to debunk because if he is a personification of Andres Bonifacio, maybe that's already an interpretation about his character, but not from the idea of Rizal as an author. Because Noli Me Tangere was published even before Rizal and Bonifacio met when he organized the La Liga Filipina. That's 1891. Noli was published in 1887. So, Rizal might not be thinking any Andres Bonifacio, hindi pa niya nakikilala to, but he was thinking of the common Filipino who believes in that cause. And who is Elias if not Bonifacio? I will tell you later on. In one of the chapters that I will be discussing, I will tell you Ibarra and Elias are Rizal. These are the characters where I think in my own readings, in the many readings that I had, at least I could say that these are the characters of Rizal in Noli Me Tangere, where he was debating with himself. So there's the other side of Rizal as a reformist, and there's the other side of Rizal as a revolutionist, and he could not decide which would be the best way to achieve emancipation from Spain. So whether to have reforms within the colonial system or to be separated through revolution. But later on, I will ask you, because he continued the character of Ibarra to Simon. So naging revolutionist na talaga siya doon. But why is it that in the end he killed the character of Simon? So ibig sabihin, he killed the idea of revolution. So what's now the point? What's now the representation now? What is now the best solution to achieve freedom? I hope I could still discuss you with that later on. Abutin ko yan, no? Sa last part. And there's one character, hindi ko naidagdag dito, but there's one character that will tell you which solution Rizal really put into so that our freedom could be achieved. I'll be explaining to you that later on. But this time, let's focus with the characters that I have on my screen in the Noli Me Time. Because the character that I am saying, it's in the El Filibusterismo. One priest, but not a villain priest. It's one of the isa sa mga protagonist na priest, the only noble priest in the El Filibusterismo, because most of the priests there were villains, antagonists. Okay. Next character is Pilosopong Tasyo. Of course, sinong hindi nakakaalam kay Pilosopong Tasyo? Lagi natin sinasabi yan.
Wala na bang sinasantong mga magnanakaw ngayon? Hoy, Tasyo, ano bang problema? Dinakaw ang bungo ng asawa ko. Nakapatong lang doon sa puntod niya. Wala na ngayon. Mas mabisang proteksyon laban sa kulog at kidat ang pararayos kaysa doon sa pagkalebang ng mga kampana. Di kita maintindihan. Bakit mo ba kinakalay kaya mga bagay-bagay? Kaya ganda-ganda ng panahon. At hindi, ang pinag-iisipan kong mga bagay, yun ang hindi sumasagi sa utak ng ibang tao.
Pilosopong Tasyo is a pessimist. Well, that's another point, because some would say he's also an optimist. But sabi kasi dito, he spent most of his money on books and now lives in poverty. Arang edukasyon sana magbibigay sa'yo ng kayamanan, pero si Pilosopong iba ang nangyari dito. So, but he symbolizes the learned Filipinos. So kung nakapag-aral ba ay mahirap at yung mga hindi nag-aral ay mayaman. Rizal can relate to his character as his oldest brother Pasiano Rizal. Ay, ganun ba? Ganun ba ang representation ni Pilosopong Tasyo? So sige, sa mga iba siguro in-interpret nila na si Tasyo ay si Pasiano, but Pilosopong Tasyo symbolizes the learned Filipinos. Dito ako mas naniniwala. He is a sage. He is a person. Ito sinasabi nila, no? Kung sasabihin sa'yo na you are advanced during your time. So advance ka sa time mo. Hindi ka nabibilang sa time na yan. Yan si Pilosopong Tasyo. Advance siya mag-isip. Naiisip na niya yung mga bagay-bagay na hindi naiisip ng mga normal na Pilipino during his time. So napakataas na ng kanyang IQ, kumbaga. Pero wala siya sa kanyang panahon. Okay? Kaya tingin sa kanya, ermitanyo, baliw. But he is really a cultured and very intelligent for those people who knew him. For those people who don't know him, of course, they would think Pilosopong Tasio as a madman. Okay? And of course, one of the favorites, Doña Victorina, the wife of Don Tiburcio, an ambitious Filipina.
Pobrecitos! Bakit naman hindi kumonsulta ng espesyalista? Sigurado ako. Kung ang simanong kumonsulta sila ng isang espesyalista katulad ng aking esposa, dising sana papiling natin sila at pinoproblema kung gaano tayo katagal maghintay bago dumating si Kapitan Tiago at ang kanyang panauhing pangdangal bago tayo makaupot makakain.
Nakita nyo naman doon, she symbolizes those who have a distorted view of their identity. May isa pang term na lagi kong ginagamit kay Doña Victorina eh. Sabi nila, isa siyang social climber. So, Doña Victorina exemplifies the typical Filipinos who wanted to become, to go up the ladder, the alta sociedad of the society, the alta sociedad, no, ng ating lipunan. Pero she could not just hide it. So, ang kanyang asawa si Don Tiburcio isa naman palang peking doktor, peking physician. So it was one of the characters of an ambitious Filipina, unwittingly played by Caridad Sanchez in the film. So you can watch more about the characters of the Noli Me Tangere in the link that I gave you, the presentation of the Cultural Center of the Philippines. Mahaba po yan, pwede nyong upuan yan at panoorin. Yung mga pinakita ko dito ay mga paputol-putol lang, no? Just to present to you a glimpse of the characters. You can also use other references, no? Just to make sure na makikita nyo at marami kayong mababasa about the characters of Rizal. Alright, so sa ngayon, hanggang doon na lang muna at hopefully we can still discuss more about Rizal's characters. But next meetings, next video, next recorded videos, I'll be talking about the highlights, chapters, highlighted chapters, and later on we'll be talking about your project, which will focus more on the chapters and the characters and the chapters of the Noli Me Tangere. So thank you and have a good day. Of course, Maria Clara. Sino ba ang hindi makakaalala or hindi nalalaman si Maria Clara?
Meron sana akong itatanong. Paano nangyaring higit kang maganda kaysa sa Maria Clara ng aking alaan?
May bagay na katangi-tangi ang kinyem. Subalit paano mo masisimulan kung hindi ka karapat-dapat?
Isa sa characters ni Rizal na accordingly symbolizes what is a real Filipina and what should what women in the Philippines should emulate. A religious woman, she portrayed as a faithful sweetheart, a good friend, and an obedient daughter. However, she gets easily nervous. She had childish simplicity. So she symbolizes the purity and innocence of a sheltered native woman. And accordingly, her character is related to Rizal's childhood sweetheart, Leonor Rivera. So, Maria Clara, sige, sabihin na natin na she symbolizes the modest and simplistic and humble Filipina that should be emulated by Filipino women. But as I've said, in one of his writings, he actually opposed the character of Maria Clara and actually presented another woman character, another characteristics that women should emulate in the Philippines. And you could read that in his letter to the young women of Malolos. But let's give credit to Maria Clara as one of the great characters in the Noli Me Tangere that Rizal penned in order for the Filipinos, for Filipino women to emulate. However, yun nga, medyo hindi maganda ang ending sa character ni Maria Clara. She ended up I think she has the character of Maria Clara was a tragic one. Alright, so next.